Voltron Network.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the DC vs. Marvel podcast, where we talk about the latest DC and Marvel movie news. My name is Uz, aka Uziman DS, representing the blue corner of DC, and once again, my partner in crime, representing the red corner of of Marvel with his Hydra.
El Hydra! Whoosh.
With his Hydra on is Ed's aka Eddie Brock, man. What are you saying, bro?
I'm good, man. Well, I'm not. I'm melting. I'm just can't take it. And I know there's going to be people listening and watching this that are in hot countries that this is just day to day, but we're not used to it. Even though we've all got melanin in our skin, both of us, being born in this country messes us up, man. We just can't really handle all this. It's either too hot or too cold. Can't win.
It is. Yeah, it's just stifling, man. I mean, I'm just dreading now trying to get to sleep like tonight because it's gonna suck so badly, man. The other thing is like every place that you go into, apart from like supermarkets and that, nobody has aircon, man. So you go into like the office or whatever, and you're just dying for the entire day. You know what I mean? That's the thing, man. There should be this thing like, okay, so for some reason blokes have always got to wear trousers. It should be socially acceptable to wear shorts at work, right? It should be like.
See, I would have thought you could get away with it though. You always have these like eccentric doctors and dentists.
Yeah, but this is the thing, man. There's a certain level of eccentricity you can get away with, and it's like it's funny because people see me and they're like, because they know me and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, Uz loves DC and he loves his comic books and he loves this and his modeling and all that kind of stuff. And then they see me at work and it's like the way that I speak to patients and they're like, what the hell happened to this guy, man? He's like completely transformed into somebody professional rather than this this guy who he is there right now, man. So yeah, we are all unfortunately melting. And both of us, actually, me and Ed's both have fans that we could put on right now, but it is anybody who's got like any kind of hearing issues or anything, you're gonna hate it because it will literally just hear that whoop sound like every
big fan has to stay off, but thankfully I've got my little desk fan. That does a pretty good job, but it's still it's so hot in here that it's just hot air just blowing in my face. It's like someone's breathing on me.
The thing is, like, you can't at the moment even open a window to try and get like a cooler air through. It is literally just like it's hot outside, hot inside, man. So yeah, that kind of sucks at the moment, but knowing the UK, it's going to be like 3-4 days and then it's going to be gone.
It'll be snowing in a week.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be back to rain and stuff like that, man. That's the thing. I know whenever it is, because when I look at the grass and I see it, okay, I'm going to sound very middle class and daddy now, basically, right? So when I see the grass in the garden and it's dying off and it's yellow, and I basically it's time to turn the sprinkler on, and I put the sprinklers on, and then the next day it will like pelt it down with rain.
Yeah.
So when that grass is going yellowy, that is like, yeah, that is the time for the UK to start raining like crazy, man, because it can't take it. Most of the time you get thunderstorms, don't you? Like thunderstorms like crazy.
Love that. I love it when it rains. That's the perfect circumstance for me to go to sleep. When it's thunder, when there's rain on the window, I just love that. I don't know what it is. It just brings me comfort. Maybe it's some deep in my DNA. I have like ancestors that lived like on a beach, tropical somewhere with tropical storms. It just makes me feel, I don't know, cozy.
The traumatic past experience.
Yeah, just in the cave, my ancestors in the cave, just shivering.
Yeah, there's men that Ed finds that comforting. I don't know, any psychologist listening, if they want to kind of chime in on what to say about that, man.
So, love rain and thunder. Come on, man.
That is true. I like that bit just before it, where it's like it's slightly cooler and it's all calm, and it's just like that bit is proper nice, man. But yeah, the rain bit is just I don't know. I don't enjoy that very much. But yeah, man. Let's get onto it. Have you been up to anything in the world of DC and Marvel there this week, or Dark Horse, or Valiant, or or whatever?
There was, and I've completely forgotten. Oh my god! No, did we speak about? Yeah, we always spoke about Umbrella Academy.
Yep.
Wow, I've blanked. Maybe I haven't. Maybe it was just that, and I was just tailing off from it. Actually, I did finish Warrior Nun. I decided to go back to it.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think the last couple of episodes, and I actually have to say I've softened on it slightly.
Okay.
Problem is, the first half of the season, so much is wasted with this pointless love story and this finding myself hanging out with these random teenage characters that have nothing to do with the main concept of the show. That's what became crap. But once you go back to it, there's a little twist at the end where, screw it, I'm going to spoil it. It's been out for a while now. Where this, remember I was telling you about the lore about how an angel came down and sacrificed his halo for the female soldier in the Holy Wars and all that. Turns out it was just, you know how in like 1,000 years ago you see a shooting star and you think, oh, it's a chariot of the gods coming to Earth, but it's just a shooting star. They just interpret things. Turns out this angel that they thought is like some trans-dimensional being that teleports. So it's like it kind of blows the whole religious aspects kind of in a weird place, and it's actually kind of interesting. So it ain't as bad as I thought it was, and I may actually give season 2 a go if it does come back.
Maybe it is like Umbrella Academy, where season 2 is going to be way better than season 1, because that what you're saying kind of reminds me exactly of Umbrella Academy season 1, where it just got really weird in the middle, like super weird, and then it's like towards the end it's kind of getting a bit better, and then obviously like season 2 is like way better. So yeah, it's kind of, I guess it's kind of worth seeing, man. You know, I'm using you as my gauge as to whether I watch any of these programs or not, right? So it's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna see if Ed's is saying it's worth spending your time on, then I will see whether it's worth kind of looking.
If you're the type of person that could power through 4 episodes of just Mirandering, maybe just have it as a background thing, then the last 2 episodes could be fun. Watch it for 2 episodes.
Yeah. I'll watch a couple and then make my mind up about what it is, man. But yeah, I don't know. There's so little around at the moment that it's kind of just like
very true. You know, I did finish Cybertron Transformers. Was it War of Cybertron or Battle of
Siege?
Yeah, that was it. The first in a trilogy series, and it's weird. It's not a kid show at all, but I enjoyed it. Did you get to it?
Yeah. So we're gonna get to that after this next story. So we're gonna talk about that there as well, because there's quite a few things that are, that I think we should talk about in there, man. So I've been, there's so little like DC and Marvel stuff out there at the moment. I've literally just been like, even the stuff like, the graphic novels and stuff collection that I have is been delayed basically, so I'm not actually receiving the right thing. So I've just nothing, man.
There is one thing that you seem to have refused to watch that you were speaking of before. Deathstroke, one of DC's coolest characters. You said it was a series. I didn't realize that when I saw it. I thought it was just another movie. Deathstroke, Knights and Dragons, something like that. Yeah, but you said it was a collection from a series that was on CW.
Yeah, so they're very short episode kind of series, like 10-minute, 15.
Yeah, surprised because watching it as a solid movie didn't feel like it was a segmented format at all. It just played like a movie. And it wasn't CW at all. It was like most DC cartoons are. Warner Brothers seems to just not give a damn. They just let them do what they want. So it's violent. There's cursing. And it really made me kind of sad that the whole movies are falling apart, because it makes you think that could this have been the sort of direction that they were going to go in with that Joe Manganiello, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
The live action. Because if things have gone the way they should have, we probably would have been getting maybe like a little trailer or something, or set photos by now of that movie. Because
when you look at it, before, so straight after BVS, obviously there was that thing where Ben Affleck was still looking at potentially making the Batman stuff, and he was like showing this like thing of Joe Manganiello walking out with his Deathstroke armor and stuff like that, and it was like, oh, this looks pretty cool and stuff. And yeah, that was interesting. But now obviously we're looking at it and it's just like, okay, there's no sign of this happening. However, Joe Manganiello did put on his Instagram a picture of him with all the those little spots that they use for the motion capture, right? And it's like he's like filming. He wrote underneath filming for something, right? So people are wondering, is it the Suicide Squad game? Is it the is it some Justice League stuff? Whatever.
That would be cool if they use the actors for the game. I'd be surprised if they did. The problem is, was this Gareth Evans, the guy who did the raid? He was gonna be doing that. The fact that they lost him, that oh God, the potential of that was the potential of what that could have been. Deathstroke with Gareth Evans doing that. Oh God, it would have been.
You're gonna get me depressed now, man. That's the thing.
And the thing is that the basic story of the Knights of Monsters or Dragons, where the hell, it was actually pretty cool. It was all about his son Jericho and his daughter. It basically was kind of that origin story of him, his family not knowing what he was doing, and then the bad guys targeting his kids and all of that. And it would have been so good. It was I actually really enjoyed it.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating, isn't it?
Brothers, man.
That's the thing. So I think it all comes down to how well some of this HBO stuff does, and whether like Warner Brothers look at something and are like, okay, this is done well. Let's go and go and look at this.
Gareth is gone though. He was a major ingredient, and he's gone now. So
that is true. That is true. I mean, you still got the John Wick guys. They're going to be wanting a job soon. After
See,
right,
they do great action, but they don't really do story that well, if I'm honest. Like John Wick's kind of, I still enjoy it, but it's kind of slowly getting silly. It's going the Fast and the Furious route of being grounded and then just getting more superhero-y as it goes on. Now Wick's gonna be flying and
it's becoming like James Bondy, like he's going around the world, finding XYZ, and it's becoming very James Bondy, I think. But yeah, I mean, they could do a Deathstroke kind of thing if it was written down in the right way, I guess. But coming more to that kind of Deathstroke thing, James Gunn has been talking about Suicide Squad and stuff, and the one interesting thing out of everything that he said, there's kind of like the most interesting thing is that he said there's been zero interference from Warner Brothers.
Wow, what's going on there? What someone actually learned a lesson at Warner Brothers? I doubt that. How?
From day one, Warner Brothers have interfered like crazy in their films, man.
Every movie.
I used to see the speculation that is going on about DC fandom. So, like Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer announced last week he's going to be at DC fandom, right? So everybody's like, what the? Why is Val Kilmer turning up at DC fandom? Right? Of course, he's Batman in Batman Forever. And it was one of those things there where people were saying like, okay, he was a missed opportunity because he was actually quite a decent Batman, but then obviously he was never going to carry on there after that because it was just it wasn't the best film. So it's the same kind of thing. Like, are they deciding something about okay, he's going to come in a cameo or something, or they're just getting him in just for the fact of okay, I'm Val Kilmer, and
I reckon they're just doing a Batman retrospective at some point. They need to fill this time, however they're going to format it. There's probably going to be a looking back at the cinematic Batman. You're going to have all the different guys that played it that's still alive talking about their experiences.
Yeah, and unfortunately they haven't invited Clooney.
Oh, good.
He doesn't seem to.
Well, they know he ain't going to come. He had a horrible time.
Poor guy. So basically, but that's interesting, man. I mean, when I'm looking at somebody with James Gunn, you can see when you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, there's a slightly different version of him, which is like the unhinged James Gunn, which is where you can see in the computer games that he's written and in the Belko experiment where he's kind of written that there and stuff, and you can see like him on his unhinged state. And that does interest me. Like him, where he's totally like unreined, like literally
He's
just like
a perfect fit, I reckon. He does the ensemble thing good. He balances it well. Like with the Guardians, he's found a way to highlight all of these characters, but still make it feel like a cohesive thing. So if he can take that, put it with Suicide Squad, I've got high hopes that it's actually going to be a fun film.
Yeah, and it will kind of be the perfect tonic after like all of this COVID stuff. You want to see something just like ridiculous, just like, you know, with people just getting, you know, thrown like across buildings and blown up, or, you know, one guy like, I wish actually some of they put in some of the, like the most, they've got ridiculous characters in there, but, you know, like like the really super obscure like DC characters like Arm Fall Off Boy and stuff like that, you know, because that would be like, you know, a guy who could literally, his special power is he pulls his arm off and throws it at you as a weapon.
That's not something that should be in The Boys. It's something else.
Right. And then puts his arm back on. So like really obscure ass characters like that would just be hilarity, man.
I just hope that it's not too Margot Robbie centric. That because she's like the massive star now, that it's not going to be too focused on her.
Yeah, so this is a little aside, which I didn't actually put in the news, but this actually came out yesterday about this kind of thing. So, you know, there seems to be something going on behind the scenes with Cathy Yan. Right, so Cathy Yan obviously directed Birds of Prey. There was a lot of rumors that basically Margot Robbie had a huge amount of power when it came to Birds of Prey, right? And pretty much she wanted it in a particular way, that she didn't want Poison Ivy in there, no Catwoman, nothing like that. Because if you had the proper Birds of Prey, then basically the star is not Harley Quinn. You got Batgirl in there. You got, you know, you've got Catwoman. You've got a proper Huntress. You know, all that kind of stuff. And then it's like, well, you know, Harley Quinn is just like a side character in that show of the Birds of Prey, right? But they changed it into a thing where it's like it's a Harley Quinn vehicle, and all the characters there are nerfed to some degree, you know, like Black Canary and Huntress and Cassie Kane, who they turned into like a horrendous character, are all nerfed in order to make sure that Margot Robbie's character is better. But Cathy Yan has been getting in the neck about these kind of things, and all these kind of rumors that have been coming out about it, that, you know, she had a draft which is way more quirky, which involved more characters and all this kind of stuff, and then it got nerfed. And you know, she's actually argued a lot with people on Twitter about, oh, you know, no, you know nothing about what was going on, all this kind of stuff. And then it's like apparently now she's unfollowed a couple of the actors who were in Birds of Prey, and unfollowed the Birds of Prey official thing, and unfollowed the Warner Brothers official Twitter.
Ooh, interesting.
Right, so people are thinking, okay, there's something behind the scenes that is going on, and it's kind of one of those things, man. You get a lot of these directors, they don't really expect the you know, the level of scrutiny you get on a property like this, you know what I mean? So it's to me, it makes it even more interesting that somebody like James Gunn basically has got carte blanche to do what the hell he wants.
I think you have to. I think part of it comes down to the fact that he's proved himself. Even though the Cathy Yan, she's done a little before, but she wasn't really a name. She wasn't really someone that had any clout compared to Gunn, who's done these films, have been very successful, and he still has that connection to Marvel. Like, he's going back there to do the next Guardian. So I guess they feel like they could trust. He's proven himself. Hands off. Let's just let him do his thing. But then you think they would let that happen with other directors that kind of, they like Air and all that. I don't trust David Ayer. David Ayer has really kind of destroyed his career. Have you heard that, the reviews for his new one, Tax Collector?
What was it? Oh yeah. He's funny because he has made, you know, everybody has their muse, right? Yeah. So, you know, you've got what's it called? Samuel Jackson and what's her name? Uma
Tarantino,
Thurman,
all the
Tarantino,
yeah.
Johnny Depp, and blah. All for Tim Burton. His muse is Shia LaBeouf, right? Because Shia LaBeouf was in what's it called? Was in Fury. That other thing, I can't remember what he did.
Isn't a bad thing because Shia is actually a good actor. He's an idiot.
Actor.
He's an idiot out there in the world, but on screen, he's a good actor. But,
and apparently that's because there was a lot of stuff that happened to him when he was a child actor, which he kind of hints on, and you could kind of guess what kind of stuff would happen to him when he was a child actor. But at the same time, it's like obviously that's turned him into a crazy dude. But David Ayer, man, is like
this is the thing.
No, what did he get?
His character is like a Mexican enforcer, a tax collector, basically for the gangs.
Okay,
that's another problem in itself that he's kind of a Mexican dude. But he has his character's called Creeper, so he decided to get a legit Mexican-esque gang tattoo with Creeper right across his torso with like all the skulls and everything, and he got it for real. He didn't get makeup to do it; he got it for real.
Why?
Who does that?
Why? Somebody insane who does that pretty much. I mean, the thing is this, man. Like, I basically was like, the Dark Knight has come back out in the cinema and stuff like that, right? And I haven't had a chance to go and see it and stuff, but it's kind of like made me like recollect a lot of the things. So I've been watching some clips on YouTube and things like that, especially like the Joker clips, because obviously those are like the coolest ones. And you can see the difference in between somebody like Nolan, who is a genius level actor with dialogue and stuff, compared to somebody like David Ayer. Like the stuff that is like, the Joker is saying, which is like with his twisted sense of humor, is funny, and then you compare it to the stuff that David Ayer is putting in as is meant to be Joker's twisted sense of humor as being funny, is very, very different, and it's nowhere near as good. It's nowhere near as crafted. I mean, I totally understand he's trying to go a different way with the character, but it's just one. It looks cheesy in comparison to another one looking super cool.
It's weird how some directors can see the bigger picture and how to balance a story and where things need to build and then go down and build again. It's like some just don't have that at all.
Yeah, and I think with him, he is good on big action pieces. Like we can see, obviously, he did Fury and stuff like that. And Fury is pretty decent. I really like that.
Good film.
But something like this, man, is just like, I know his film was cut to crap by Warner Brothers, but at the same time, it's like when Zack Snyder releases something and he releases a picture or whatever, and you look at it and you think that looks flipping cool, mate. But then you look at something that David Ayer releases, and you're just like,
crap. That Darkseid photo, not Darkseid. What's his name? The
Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf. Hooey. To see that in motion, like properly, not just like we saw in at the end of BVS, like properly in motion. That's going to be
well, that's the thing. He's saying that in regards to Steppenwolf, because he's not like human-like, he doesn't give a crap, so he doesn't care about ripping limbs off and stuff like that. I'm just thinking, man, if he puts that kind of thing in motion, it is freaking insane. What I want to see is all of the stuff that was kind of promised to us in this, that even Zach said, okay, it was in this, and then it's kind of gone. So the stuff like Deathstroke breaking Lex Luthor out of prison. I just want to see Deathstroke just going in there and just like just destroying an entire prison to get Lex Luthor out. It was going to be the most epic. Like if they put that in there, it'll be flipping unbelievable. And like basically Batman getting cornered by a whole nest of parademons and him just defeating like a whole nest of parademons using his like tactics and all that kind of stuff. Those are the kind of things that I want to see. I want to see that, that Bruce Lee style of one dude just like wrecking an entire load of people with like skill. That would be the thing. And like you're saying, these kind of things, they're always missed opportunities. Imagine if you saw a scene where Deathstroke ripped through an entire prison, right, and and released Lex Luthor. And also in the same film, you saw Batman basically wrecking a whole load of parademons in a nest by himself. When at that point you'd be thinking, man, when these two meet up, it is going to be
exactly. You kind of got thinking about the whole thing, going through the prison, that's destroying everyone. You got me thinking back to Watchmen. You know, that scene with Night Owl and Silk Spectre, that cool fight scene, whatever, just tearing through everybody, is brutally breaking everybody's limbs and all of that. Oh, that would be so cool.
It'll be absolutely mental, man. But yeah, we'll wait and see what that's like. Trailer coming out in 12 days. So yeah, we'll see.
Part of me wants to think though, because you heard about how the Suicide Squad game is like, I think the ultimate bad guy is that, not even a bad guy, but their ultimate target is Superman. That would be so cool for that to be in a movie, man. For Superman to be the one that they were going to take down, because they teased it a little in the first one, talking about, you know, all of these, to actually have him as a target.
It would be crazy, because that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
What is the point in Amanda Waller saying, what if Superman came down, destroyed this and destroyed that? And then it's like, okay, well, shouldn't somebody like that be the target of the Suicide Squad? So rather than them just ambling around doing nothing, basically.
So
you know
if Superman
what I mean?
comes, we'll get Harley Quinn to take him down. What?
Yeah. Can you imagine?
and a boomerang guy. What?
Oh, no, man. Do you know the one jokes thing in that I liked was the fact that they they bigged up Slipknot, right? And they're like, Slipknot, yeah, he could get out of anything, and literally within like 2 seconds he just like done, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is literally the Suicide Squad. Like, you know, this guy tried to escape and he was finished, man. So we've actually got a question about Man of Steel, which we'll obviously be talking about a bit later on from one of our listeners. So yeah, man. Let's before we go into the Transformers review, which I know you guys are waiting for, have you heard about Tom King's new project doing Rorschach?
No.
So Tom King, right? He's one of these other ones where it's kind of like he's getting rewarded for I don't know what, because you know, most people are reading his comics are like, it's kind of okay, you know, but it's not that great. But he's one of these guys who basically what he's doing is that he seems to be projecting. So he's projecting this thing about, okay, so Batman had this when he was doing this Batman run, it's like Batman was like had major kind of like self-doubt issues and stuff like that, and anxiety and all this kind of stuff, and a lot of his comic book was talking about that rather than the action kind of thing. Then when he did Superman, it was the same kind of thing, you know, self-doubting himself all the time and anxiety and things like that. And now it's like he's been given the keys to Rorschach, and I'm just thinking, don't do that same thing, mate. Like, you know, Rorschach's got this kind of, you know, thing inside him that he's got anxiety and problems and all that kind of stuff. Because
definitely has problems. Like, there is mental health things with Rorschach, but anxiety shouldn't be one of them. He's delusional enough in his purpose in life that shouldn't be something that bothers him.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll probably go into his, like, you know, previous life that he was, you know, is raised by his mom who's a prostitute, and, you know, beat him up and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, that will make it a little bit kind of, you know, freaky and things like that. Have you ever seen this film, right? Just a little aside, you ever see this film with Elijah Wood, right? And basically his mum is like his mum's like a prostitute or something, and basically what he does is that she's a single mum, so she takes him on all these missions, like when she's like basically going and seeing a client and stuff like that, and you know, he ends up seeing like all this kind of stuff in his life, and then basically he ends up becoming this serial killer.
Maniac.
Like, yeah,
hey, I love that film. It's such a mental film.
And it's like, you know, when I saw that, I was like, this is like Rorschach, man. Like the way the Rorschach could have gone, right? Because this guy like goes and he becomes like, he starts cutting off bits of different women to create this doll that is his mom kind of thing, right? So that's kind of the same kind of stuff that Rorschach would have seen but decided I'm going to punish those kind of people rather than become this Elijah Wood.
It's funny you say that, because in my head, a part of me always envisioned that could be a good grounded villain that could. Remember, I was always talking about the DC, the Gotham PD type show before they actually ended up. They're going to do it now, but that was the sort of thing. That sort of villain I always kind of envisioned that would be good for a show like that.
Yeah. That is very much like the Collector, basically. Like he's basically come in and he's collecting body parts and all this kind of stuff. And it would be epic to watch like Gotham Police Department coming to a scene and being like, okay, well, there's a hand missing here, there's a foot missing here.
I want it. That's the tone. That's the tone I want. I want it like Seven in the movie, Brad Pitt, and like Hannibal. I want that tone of the crazy crime scenes, the crazy murders, all that sort of stuff, and Maniac as well. It's a cool film. You never seen it, guys? Check that one out. The original or the Elijah Wood one. It's two of them.
Yeah, not with your family. But yeah, that is a crazy film. So that definitely reminded me of like a Rorschach kind of thing. But yeah, I'm not. I don't know. Tom King, man, for some reason has been given the keys to the castle.
I bet he had something in where Rorschach gets abused or something by one of the clients of his mum when he was a kid.
Yeah, and that's the reason why he goes around killing pedophiles and blah blah blah. No. So anyway, let's move on to something more lighter, because both me and Eds have now seen Transformers: Siege of Cybertron. And I'll let you go first, because obviously you saw the first half and now you kind of seen the second half. What are your overall thoughts of this? And then we'll kind of go through different moments and things that that we liked.
I enjoyed it. I think if it was longer than what it was, I think it was like 10 episodes, was it? Yeah, if it was
so. Yeah, I think it's like 8 episodes, something. Yeah,
hey, even better. If it was longer, then it may not have been as fun. So I think the tone, it's very dour, it's very dark, and that could get a little depressing or a bit boring after a while. But it was the perfect length where I was in it. I liked the sort of the grittiness of the show. They didn't go in making it as just a regular kids cartoon like they always do whenever they remake Transformers. They just went, okay, let's just tell what would it really be like if the war on Cybertron. And Autobots are losing, Decepticons are winning, they're on top, and things are down, energy's running out, they're looking for the Allspark. And it basically ends with where Transformers traditionally begins. Because they have to go to Earth now, innit, or some other planet. I presume it's got to be Earth right at the end. So
that's the thing. They're going to obviously go and land on Earth, and then So I've already read the kind of what do they call it? The kind of information about the next 2 series, right? So not what each episode is, but what it's kind of about. So the second series is basically they're landing on a prehistoric Earth. So they're because
you don't want. But I was worried that like with the start of the animation, the start of the show, adding human beings was going to ruin it. Having people walk around, you're going to have these conversations with people. But to put it in the prehistoric Earth, you've done away with that unless they add them in later.
Yeah, well, on the third one is kind of just like a fight for energy on and stuff like that. It doesn't say what time frame it is, but that one is obviously landing on Earth. So in the cartoon, they landed on Earth, but they were kind of stuck in this volcano for like 65 million years until the volcano erupted. Then it got enough energy. Teletran 1 started working. Then they all kind of went back to normal. But it's that show. There were bits that I really enjoyed and bits that I was kind of being a bit picky about. I was like, I don't know why they quite did this, but overall I enjoyed it. And there were certain moments when I was watching it, and I was just like going back to when I was a 9-year-old kid and just watching this kind of stuff. Right? There's spoilers, guys. Obviously, if you haven't watched it, pause this bit, go and watch it, come back, and then whatever. There's this one kind of scene in here. Optimus Prime basically. We'll talk about Optimus Prime in a second, but Optimus Prime goes and they're getting decimated by the Decepticons, because the Decepticons are way more powerful. So they know they have to get allies. So Optimus Prime goes to the Guardians, and they're just like, piss off, this is not our war, whatever, right? And then literally, like, the Autobots are about to get annihilated. All of the guys are there to destroy them, and out of the ground, just Omega Supreme just comes up, and I'm
rogue
just
guardian.
like, Omega Supreme is here, right? And I'm just like, oh my god, I've been transported back like 30 years, man, and it's just like amazing, man. The only thing that could have made it better is if the planet just started transforming, a Metroplex just came out.
Oh jeez, that'd be crazy. That'd be too much. That'd be insane.
You know what I mean? That would have
and I
been
like that they gave the Decepticons some more of a background in that they were actually sympathetic. That they're actually kind of good in the beginning. Like their whole, it all began from an honorable place. They were stuck in the mines. They're basically like almost slave labor for the planet, and they just decided to had an uprising. They had enough of this. But
they turned it very. They turned it very much into like an Animal Farm story, right? So it's kind of like, you had these overlords who like run them. They were slaves. Now, Megatron's crew have kind of become like the leaders, and they are the animals that have overrun the humans. But in being now the dominant people, they are really kind of like become oppressive and stuff. And the Nazi imagery and these flags and these, oh man, it's just flipping crazy. And it's really interesting because in Animal Farm you have this character called Snowy, who's like this pig who is like the friends to all these other pigs, and Optimus Prime is like Snowy basically. There's nothing in this, there's nothing special about him. He's not like you see in the cartoons and stuff where he's this amazing warrior. He gets his ass kicked on a daily freaking basis.
And everybody
right?
talks back to him. Everybody questions him like, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about.
He's basically like Orion Pax. Literally, he's just gone from Orion Pax becoming Optimus Prime rather than being the proper Optimus Prime there. And part of that did annoy me because they do this really often in films there nowadays. If they want to have I'm sorry guys, because it's going to be controversial again, but if they want a female character who they want to bring up, for some reason they bring the other characters down. They did this in Ant-Man and the Wasp. They made like Ant-Man like the dumbest character in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and make the Wasp better, right? And it was the same way in this. Like they made Optimus Prime weaker to make Elita 1 look more badass. Now, Elita 1 could have looked more badass regardless, right? But they had to make Optimus Prime look weaker and have Elita 1 just save him all the time. But I guess now he's going to be on Earth and he's got his time to just, basically mature and stuff like that. But people are still going to talk back to him, man. I mean, like the characters that are on there, I love the way they mixed like some G1 and G2 stuff there as well. Like, and even, you had,
and even seeing Bumblebee in his original form, like I'd forgotten that's how he's supposed to look. Like I got so used to the movie version of him that I forgot he's just this little tiny. I remember I had the toy. It was just like this tiny little thing.
He was what's it called? He's a Beetle, wasn't he? A VW Beetle, right? But yeah, that's the thing, man. Like Bumblebee, I love the way they just made him like this guy who just a scavenger, is like sod it, and then he's kind of forced into becoming this thing because even in the cartoon, he was like a lieutenant, and when you're watching it, it was like you disbelieve, like how the hell can he be like a military lieutenant in this thing? He's so pathetic, right? But he was, and obviously now you see the backstory there of it. So there was some stuff in there which really tells you this is not for little kids. Like that flipping twisted twisted kind of bit where you've got Ultra Magnus and they've strung him up like basically with these wires to like to basically like use his dead mangled. It was really like like an anime where they've basically got like this dead Ultra Magnus that they've kind of strung back together to use this thing. There was in the cartoon they had a very similar thing to this, which haunted me when I watched it for like months and months. I couldn't sleep. When they had Optimus Prime and they had basically Optimus Prime came back. So in G2, Optimus Prime came back. Rodimus Prime gave him back the Matrix of leadership, and then basically he ended up having to sacrifice himself, right? And right at the end, he's flying his colony ship, and his arm's been ripped off, and his eye is like bugged out and stuff like that, and he's like flying, basically suiciding his ship into the planet, right? And I remember watching that when I was like 9, 10 years old, and I couldn't sleep for like for days, man. I kept on seeing that bugged out eye in my head. Right?
It's weird the things that can affect you when you're a kid.
Yeah, and even to this day, I'm just like, oh my god, that bugged out eye was so freaky. But it's the same kind of thing. I can imagine a kid watching that Ultra Magnus and just literally just having that in their head for like, I bet you if you showed that to an 8, 9-year-old kid, they would have that in their head for weeks, man.
Yeah, it's weird. I watched a lot of horror films as a little kid, like stuff I really shouldn't be watching. But for some reason, when I saw Robocop as a kid, Egg 209 got to me. Like I remember one time just sitting in my bathroom, just scared to come out because I thought Egg 209 was down the hall when I opened the door. That he was going to come and say, "You have 5 seconds to come back." It's weird, the things that get to you as a kid. But did you ask yourself while you were watching this, that as cool as all of this is, they've never been to Earth at this point. Why are they so similar to Earth vehicles? Like, why do they have wheels like trucks and?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, because there's no reason for them to be driving around. They can be like flying around. And I remember like when they had the cartoon, when they had the Cybertronian vehicles, they looked very different. They were like triangular, and even Bumblebee and stuff was like this like a saucer shape, and he would like, you know, he would go over, and it was very, very different. With these, I mean, Optimus Prime turns into a truck, which basically means trucks exist on this planet. Like literally a you know, whatever they call it, an 18-wheeler or whatever. These things literally exist on this planet, right? And that exists at 65 million years before that appeared on Earth.
And they're designed to look exactly like the ones on Earth. And also tape decks exist as well.
Oh yeah. And Megatron turns into a tank. He's a tank, basically, right? That exists, you know, back in the day or whatever. So if they played on that and they made like this funny kind of thing, like Optimus Prime invented the truck somewhere or something like that.
When they came to Earth, they seeded the idea. That would actually be funny. That would actually be funny.
That would be jokes, man. But yeah, if I don't know how they're gonna play on that. But overall, decent, man, decent, you know. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that second season, man. So
you reckon there's gonna be cavemen that see them when they go there in the prehistoric age and draw them as cave paintings on the wall, and then maybe that inspires mankind to make a base like that?
Maybe that those things that they see in like the ancient pyramids and stuff, you know, these aliens that the people say they're aliens and stuff like that, that was the Transformers and the Decepticons, right? It's kind of thing. That would be the most jokes, man, if they do stuff like that. That would be hilarious. So who's making this? Is Netflix, right? This is not like allied to anybody else.
No, Netflix.
It'd be interesting as long as Netflix just follow through, make the 2 other seasons done. Then that would be.
What did you think of the art style?
I liked the art style. I actually liked it because it kind of fitted when you're watching certain things and they're kind of like a little bit creepy in the way that they're watching it. I mean, some of the stuff you look at it and you think, okay, this is arty for art's sake. Like, why Ultra Magnus turning up with this cloak on his head? It's like, it's very anime, you know. It's like who is that? It's like everybody knows it's Ultra. It looks blatantly Ultra Magnus.
It's got these 2 big things at his back that everyone knows what the hell those things are.
Exactly. And the only reason why Ultra Magnus has those in G2 is because those are the exhausts on a truck. So why have you got that now? And if Ultra Magnus is there, where's Hot Rod? Hot Rod should be there.
It was always my favorite.
You liked Hot Rod, did you?
That was your favorite. He was my first Transformer toy that I ever got, so that's why he was my favorite. Because I had the toy first before any else.
Yeah, I still like Hot Rod, but it was always Grimlock for me, man. Grimlock was my most favorite, most jokes character, man. So yeah, it was you know, but I guess they might actually turn up in the next one, you know, because they're going back in time. So the Avengers game, man. Have you been hearing the controversy about the Avengers game between Xbox and PlayStation?
Oh, PlayStation's getting Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Of course he is. It's Sony. They're gonna want
exactly.
It makes sense.
Exactly, and they are clever, man, because they're like, well, we own this property, so we're going to put our exclusive. Xbox people are going mad. If you go on Reddit or any Xbox forum, they're like, oh, you know, do you know how much this game is?
They're like 60 quid now, and it's 50.
Mate, $129.
What? How?
$129 right, for this game.
Who is gonna buy that? This is how they get around not having any loot, having to pay for any updates down the road. Is just pay an arm and a leg from the beginning.
100%. Yeah, so this is the thing. So obviously I've been following this kind of thing on Reddit and stuff like that, and you know, where they're talking about you know, this is disgraceful, we're not getting the same kind of content. And then they posted on two kind of things that were from Target, so like Target exclusive, and it said basically you know, £129 for the Xbox version, dollars for Xbox, $129 for the PS5 version. PS5 was a PS4 version, and it's like this one has Spider-Man and this one doesn't have Spider-Man, and it's still the same amount, but that kind of money is madness.
And this is for current gen as well. 100 something quid for current gen game, not even for the next gen that's out at the end of the year. That is red. What are they? Oh,
and you know they do. I think it's Ubisoft, I think, but I don't know. I'll need to check. But it's interesting because they have like, you know, with most stuff, it's dollar to pound, right? Yeah. So if it's $129, it's gonna be £129 over here, which is.
But we always get charged more than everyone, though. We always get overcharged for everything over here.
Yeah.
See, even like it wouldn't be justifiable, but we spoke about it last few weeks about, you know, if they had gotten the actors to at least have their likeness in the game, then you could kind of justify that we need to pay the actors for this, the way they look. But we don't even have that. We just have a fat Captain America and a weird-looking Hulk, and everyone's just.
The thing is, as well, when I look at a game like that, I just think almost infinite expansion. Because it's like you could expand and have, you know, a Nova Core download. You could have you know, so you could have missions, you know, going off in space, Guardians, hoping, you know, X-Men. You could go on completely, just continuously again and again and again. But the fact that this is not like a PS5 thing and it's coming on, you know, Xbox and PS4 now, means that okay, they're probably gonna either rehash it or get rid of it later on, which is you know, bizarre basically. But yeah, I don't
disgusted. Know. As the Marvel guy, I am disgusted by that. I feel ashamed. It
is well, you could be ashamed, but then the thing is that you could tell the next the Suicide Squad game is not going to be much cheaper, you know what I mean, when these things come out, you know. So they're
it can't be. It's not going to be that much though. Come on,
it can't be that much, because charging that much for a property that is not as famous.
Exactly. And we're at like what, the edge of a recession. People are unemployed around the world, and they expect people to pay that money right now, as the world as it is. That is insane.
The thing is this, like, people, it's weird. Like, we always say, okay, people don't have money, but then for some reason, people find money for stuff like this. Like, you know, if they said next week Black Widow's coming out in cinemas, like literally just an announcement, it's coming out next week, like now, people would just flood there, man. People would just suddenly find money and just go and watch these kind of things. You know what I mean? But that brings us on to the next thing, because Mulan obviously has gone on to Disney Plus.
Will be in September, yeah.
So there's a lot of people who are talking about, well, what about Black Widow? And, you know, I don't know. I'm in two minds about it, because I'm kind of thinking that it deserves a cinema release, but at the same time,
it's Marvel. All Marvel movies deserve to be in the cinema. Come on.
But at the same time, I don't know, like, how long is this thing going to go on? Like, they're talking about today, like, the recession effects that are going to happen in the US are going to go up till 2023. Right. So, right, the effects of, because even when they get a vaccine, which is going to be sometime next year, their effect is still going to be going on like a year or so, or
and how many people are going to get it? Because the amount of stuff I see online about people saying, I'm not going to get the vaccine, it's just a government thing of them getting our blood. Everyone has a blood test when they go to the doctors. If they wanted to do something to you or document your DNA, they got it anyway. So
everybody's more than happy than spending $1,000 on an iPhone that records every single bit of information about you that you could ever think of, right? But it's like, nah, I don't want this vaccine because it might record some data. What data is it going to record from you that your iPhone doesn't do right now?
Exactly. You don't know
how. I mean, so you're not in favor of Black Widow going to.
I'd rather not, but. Like you said, you're out. But this is the thing: we're in two halves here. The world is in two halves. You got what's happening in America, and chances are that they may not get the chance to see it. But the world isn't, for the most part, as bad. But then there are pockets where it is still pretty crappy. But so it could end up in the cinema in some places, but others. So I guess it depends how Mulan does. If it does well,
I think that's the thing. Well, the thing is, like, the CEO, the new CEO of Disney, is saying that Mulan is like a one-off.
Yeah, unless it does gangbusters and everyone buys it, and then it's like, ooh, we could actually still make money.
Yeah, he's saying that basically it's not like they're not thinking of it as a business plan. It's just like literally just a one-off thing that they're going to do. They're going to release it, and then it's it's going to go off.
Yeah, and it's still getting cinema release in Asia, in China, Mulan. So it's not like it's not going to get cinema box office money and friggin' the second biggest, cinema box office in the world. So it's still going to make money. Plus, you have to remember that there's still a lot of people that are hating on China and Asia, East Asia people for no reason anyway. So this is a way to.
Yeah, kind of thinking that, okay, they're behind this, so we're going to boycott their movies and blah blah blah. So yeah, it's probably a good move from what they're doing, man. So yeah, watch the space, I guess, when it comes to that. So we've obviously been talking about the streaming services, and HBO Max has obviously been advertising about Zack Snyder's Justice League and the other stuff that is coming on there as well. And you've been seeing Ryan Reynolds kind of trolling about HBO Max and him potentially appearing in XYZ basically film. He's basically come on and he's like been trolling about the Rock said, okay, you're going to be Hawkman, and I'm going to tell you that you're going to be Hawkman, you're going to come in this and blah blah. And then people have been asking, are you coming as Green Lantern, in Zack Snyder Justice League and stuff, and he's obviously trolling everybody about it. So some people going off on doing doing news articles saying, he's definitely going to be Green Lantern in this. He's being courted to be Hawkman in Black Adam and stuff like that. But do you think, kind of like I think, that it's just a big troll by him and he just likes trolling?
He definitely loves trolling. But there's a part of me that thinks he's doing something. That's kind of what started this whole thing. So I think something's going on, but what it is, maybe the Lantern thing could be the most possible thing. Maybe because Snyder likes doing those little sort of type of Easter egg things, so it could be. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm still caught up in the fact that I'm worried that you see that little sizzle reel thing for that DC fandom, whatever, and it ended with like the little Black Adam.
Yes.
It just kind of makes you think that they really are setting this thing up to be like the new Superman of the whole universe. That's what I'm worried that that's where they're heading with this. That it completely changes what the character's supposed to be.
Yes, yeah, and that is, I guess, the power of the Rock, pretty much, to do whatever the hell he likes. But I have the same worries, and I think you're right. we've got a question about this about Man of Steel 2, and yeah, I'll kind of talk about it a bit more in there because I think there is a problem with that, and they're trying to tackle that issue by making The Rock and Black Adam like that, like the number one hero, right? And there's a reason for it, basically. So
they haven't learned from the Margot Robbie situation, because that's like we've already spoke on, and this is all played out before. Like, what ruined? There are a few things that ruined it, to be honest, but one of the major issues that was a strength in the beginning but became a problem with the X-Men movies, the last recent string of them, was Jennifer Lawrence became too famous and too big, that her character became the focus on those movies when she should have been a villain a long time ago.
Yeah,
side one at that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because she took over like Magneto, and she was she's part of the Brotherhood, but not like above and beyond everybody else. You know what I mean?
Supporting villain. That's what's supposed to be, a henchman, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But then obviously, like, okay, we got make this character and stuff, which is fair enough, I guess. But it pretty much ruined everything. But that's interesting, because that segues us straight into the next topic, which is on the X-Men, right? So, guys, we've been talking for a long time about Bryan Singer, right? And the rumors, the alleged, I'm going to say alleged, just in case Bryan Singer listens to this.
He did it all.
Yeah, Ed said that. So basically, just in case Bryan Singer decides to sue us about something, the alleged stuff about what Bryan Singer did, because basically, there's a lot of stuff kind of coming out about him, right? About his behavior on set and stuff like that. And this seems to be a pattern for me. I kind of see this a lot now. What they do is that, because the same thing's happening to Ellen, right? So so basically they've got this thing where it's like, okay, we can't get this guy because he belongs to a protected group, right? Okay, let's just say that he belongs to a protected group, the same way that Ezra Miller's stuff just disappeared under the wayside. Right, is and it's kind of not talked about now about his the stuff that was caught on video and stuff like that.
But to be fair though, I never heard anyone from the LGBTQ community ever try and defend anything that Singer was accused of doing, or even Ezra. So
no, I mean, most of the time it's interesting whenever you have somebody from a particular community who's accused of stuff. Most of the time people from that community don't really give a stuff if that person has actually probably done it, right? Most of the people don't actually say anything like, oh yeah, let's defend this person and stuff like that. It's usually other people who put words in those people's mouths to say, you should be offended by this, and I'm offended on behalf of that community.
Always that. It's always the Karens that are offended on behalf of somebody else that has nothing to do with them.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So you've always got that kind of thing. So with Bryan Singer, basically, because he is part of this kind of community. So I'm just looking over here because there is a massive spider on my wall.
Oh, I don't
like massive. Okay, so
don't worry, I feel your pain, man. If you need to deal with it, deal with it.
So basically, I'm just thinking, what can I catch it with? Yeah, I'm just gonna have to burn this. Yeah,
just move.
Yeah. That is it. I'm not training in this garage ever again.
See, you're ill prepared. I always keep my little spider catching kit.
Oh, mate, I need it here. It's in the house somewhere. I'm just thinking, what can I use to catch this thing? Because it's one of those ones that literally needs to be caught, and then you need a paper underneath to kind of get rid of it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna keep one eye out for that thing over there. But anyway,
I'm getting anxiety just kind of thinking.
Yeah. Shall I show you guys? Here we go. You guys are gonna laugh because it's like, oh, this thing is like tiny compared to. Let me see if you can see that. Can you see that thing there?
Oh shit! Yeah, that ain't tiny.
Where is it? Wait a second. Let me just.
Unless you're in Australia, That ain't tiny.
This is great. Where is it? Can you see it there?
Yeah,
on Jack Nicholson's face.
Suddenly you've frozen, so we can't. Oh, yeah, I see it now.
You see it on Jack Nicholson's face? See the size of that bloody thing? Yeah. So, anyway, so
damn, don't have a
it's a big one.
Don't have a cup or something that you're drinking out of.
No. Unfortunately, I've got nothing here, man. Because I'm in the cave, so I kind of expect in the cave you're gonna get creatures like that coming out. But he's probably like, it's nighttime. There must be creatures around here for me to munch. So yeah, he's not gonna come near me because, you know, they're scared of humans. But still,
nice. That's what they say to make kids feel better. They're not. They want to take us down.
I need to make sure, like, I don't leave any bags or anything in here that I'm taking with me, so I get a nasty surprise there later on. But anyway, yeah, let's go back to Bryan Singer, right? So Bryan Singer, right? He had this kind of thing where it was like, you know, the same with Ellen. There's been rumors, right, about stuff that has been going on with their work practices and stuff like that for a long time. But now it's kind of like they're thinking, okay, how can we get this dude, right? And there seems to be little kind of things that come out about, okay, well, you know what, this guy treated people badly on set. You know, and then you get one person saying it, then you get another person saying it, and what happens is that you then decrease the value of that person in the mind of everybody else. So what they're doing is now, like, all these actors are like, yeah, he behaved like a diva on set, you know, he was an arsehole, all this kind of stuff. And then in people's minds, like, oh, this guy's an arsehole, right? So then when that next revelation comes through to cancel him out of there, you're like, I knew he was an arsehole all along, right? It's the same like with Ellen. Like, Ellen is like, everybody who watches Ellen on her TV shows or whatever thinks she's the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? But then at the same time, like, you know...
I've heard so many stories of people saying that she's just a horrible person. Even just like regular people work in supermarkets supposedly are saying that, you know, she's always been a piece of crap. Never been a nice person.
Well, that's the thing, man. It's basically like, you know, they've got this thing that, okay, she is like, you know, she's a horrible person and stuff. And now everybody's coming out saying she's a horrible person, she's a nasty person. And then when that accusation comes that, oh, wait a second, she covered up some sexual harassment by this one dude, then they're like, right, we've got her, right? With Bryan Singer, they've been doing this thing where it's like he's been having these like parties on his boat for like years, and it's like nobody gives a crap. So how can we get him? Let's ruin his reputation in another way, show how bad person he is, and then make those accusations again later.
It's worth pointing out, it's not the parties that were the problem, it was the fact that he's known to have underage boys at those parties being made to do certain things.
I thought you were going to say is the fact we weren't invited to the that was the problem. So that's the thing, man. So Bryan Singer, I don't know whether he's gonna be around very, very long or not. But
I don't find it so hard to concentrate now because I legit don't like spiders. And now that you've kind of unveiled your issue, it's got me being paranoid at every little shadow in my room. I'm just looking at everything now.
Do you know what it is? They're coming out at because it's hot.
Yeah.
So it's too hot for them to kind of be behind these things, and they know that there are creatures that they can munch, man. So I'm keeping an eye, because that thing is not going to move while I'm here, because they can sense the moisture in the air. So while I'm here, that thing's staying there, but I still need to keep an eye on it, because if I look around in a second and it's not there, I'm going to say, I'm cutting this short. See you later, mate. Yeah, the cast is finished, bro. So
if I see one in my bedroom and I lose sight of it, I'm not sleeping in that room. I'm gone. I can't.
Oh, I just can't 100%. Last night, my wife was like, "Oh, you need to come to the bathroom now," and I'm like, "What? What's going on?" Because my daughter hates spiders, right? There was a freaking massive spider in there, right? And the thing is, I have a favorite spider catcher, which is like my daughter's. She's got this frozen, frozen what's it called, Elsa kind of like cup thing, and it goes on there and it forms a perfect seal around any spider, and then you just slide your kind of thing underneath there. You know,
I use comic book. The back cardboard things that come with the comic books. to get right under. Covered in plastic so they can't stick to it. It's empty. There's nothing in it. It's nothing in it. It's okay.
But you know what you need to use is I get those ones that, you know, when Royal Mail, they put these cards through like "we missed you," which they do all the time because they never bloody deliver the stuff.
Too small.
I use one of those.
Too small.
It's
I don't want to
get perfect size. Oh yeah. You ever had those big spiders where you can feel them like running around? It's like, oh, that's nasty, man. But anyway, so I went and I cleared that spider yesterday, and I was like, okay, this is the time when these big ass spiders are going to start coming now, and that obviously is a big ass spider. So yeah, obviously a lot of these X-Men guys have been doing you know, their kind of you know, podcasts and interviews and stuff, which is where this information had come out about Bryan Singer. And Vinnie Jones, a guy who we talked about a few weeks ago, actually came out and was talking about how the Juggernaut was pitched to him, right? So apparently they had this long ass script about the Juggernaut, right? It was basically like a thing where they were talking about, okay, the Juggernaut, they're going to make, you know, they're going to make a major character in there, right? And then Bryan Singer came and literally overnight, the night before he was meant to be filming some of these scenes, rewrote most of the scenes and was like, cut him out of almost everything. So he thought like, okay, this is going to be my big break. I'm going to be the big villain in this, and they cut out most of it and changed it to like he was just a secondary focus, and then Jean Grey was the main kind of thing there, basically. So yeah, I don't know whether you want to believe Vinnie Jones, but it
could have been. But then, you know, they saw him acting and decided, you ain't gonna have to pull this off.
Have you been seeing any of the interviews that Neil Gaiman's been giving about the Sandman? And he's been talking about the directors and the timelines and all this kind of stuff. So that Sandman Netflix is going to be very different, very different to the thing, because it is apparently in the modern day. So you're not going to have that situation with like the you know, them going in the past and it coming, you know, in the future and stuff like that.
Probably be a whole different narrative.
But the guy who they've actually got as directing this is a British director who directed a lot of Doctor Who episodes and Sherlock episodes, which kind of makes me think.
I heard that and I wasn't happy, but there is one other thing he did that was actually pretty good, so I can't forget what it was though. So keep talking, I'll have a look.
But it just depends really kind of if that's the feel that it's going to go around, because obviously like Sherlock has this kind of like cult following of the way it is, and it's kind of like a, you know, mystery and all this kind of stuff. So I'm just wondering whether that's the kind of feel that they're looking at with that. I mean, Doctor Who is very kind of quirky, and for me it's a silly show. I don't really like it very much, even though it is British, I guess.
It's crap, it's cheap, no thanks.
I guess we should support it because it's British, but I never will. But it's kind of like, I just hate it. Like I hate the way the stuff is designed. I hate the CGI on it. I hate the dialogue. I just don't like anything about it. It's just not my kind of show.
No. But even growing up when there was just only 4 channels before even Channel 5 came along, when you were hungry to watch anything, I'd have to struggle to sit and watch friggin' a Doctor Who episode. Like they were just even back in the day, they're just garbage.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So if it is that kind of mode, then I don't know. It's not something that I'm interested in. But the Sherlock stuff interests me more because I like that tone. So it depends if they're going to copy that kind of tone there, man.
The thing is, Sandman needs more flair, though. Like I would have preferred if they'd gotten the director who did the movie for Constantine. Like I want that sort of visual aesthetic and tone, that grand style.
It needs to be stylish. It needs to, rather than quirky, it needs to be like, I'm watching something cool here. This looks flipping cool.
Oh, you know? The director, Tony Haynes, he's done Black Mirror as well, some of those episodes. But I'm presuming might have been season 1 Black Mirror though, the British one. It was a lot more grounded, so I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's got potential. I guess we'll have to see, obviously, when it comes out, and we will review it when it comes out. But one thing we will definitely be watching when it comes out and reviewing is The Boys season 2 and the trailer that dropped.
Not watched it. I've not watched it. I've not watched it. I don't want to watch any other trailers. I want to just see the dad. Give me the show now. I'm done with trailers.
So the show's obviously coming out soon, but so because you haven't watched the trailer, I'm not going to go and spoil it because there's a lot of stuff in there that they're going to show in the future series, right? But one of the things that interested me in that, which isn't really a spoiler because you can kind of read about it, is Lamplighter is in this.
Oh,
right. And the guy who plays what's it called? Bobby, the Iceman in X-Men. He is Lamplighter. He's Lamplighter, and obviously he's a lot older now. So he's playing that role. So basically, he's like Lamplighter in the comic books was a guy who what happened was is that the boys were pursuing the Seven, right? The original Seven, which contained Lamplighter. Lamplighter was just like, do you know what? Sod this crap, right? I'm going after the boys, right? And the whole point was that I can't remember what they're called now. I keep thinking Halliburton because it's just like an evil corporation, but that evil corporation that runs the Seven and all these other guys, they were like, look, you cannot go after the boys directly because this is going to be a PR nightmare for us, right? It's going to be a horrendous PR nightmare. So what you can't challenge them directly. We'll try and figure something out, blah blah. So what happens is that Lamplighter's like, sod this, and he decides to go after the original, the boys crew. And the original the boys crew had a guy called Mallory in it, who is like this British secret agent kind of guy who Billy Butcher looks up to, and Billy Butcher's like his protege. And
are you sure none of this is going to be in the show?
It can't be because this stuff occurs way before.
They do establish that there was a previous crew in the show.
Yeah, but this guy looks fairly old, and I can't see that this can be in the show because the whole point is Mallory leaves the boys, right? And the reason why he leaves the boys is because his grandchildren get killed by Lamplighter, and that makes Billy Butcher go nuts.
They do refer to that in the show, though.
Yeah,
they did mention that. So I reckon they could adapt it, but I reckon some of that could be in. And Lamplighter does make an appearance in the first season, but only as like a tribute to. I think he retired or something. Or I forget. He retired, didn't he?
Yeah. So then the question is now Mallory going to come back? Is Mallory going to be there to be like sort out Lamplighter and stuff? It would be interesting to see an older kind of like Billy Butcher type of character coming in and and doing that kind of thing. It would be interesting to see would they decide to do something like that. So yeah, guys, because Ed is not watching the trailer, I'm not going to spoil it, but basically that trailer was epic, man. It had obviously the bit that I described there to Ed's before about the about the deep and the boys just going through the humpback whale and stuff, which is epic. But yeah, there's so much more epic stuff in there. They've changed the story up a lot with Stormfront, and they've really gone with the Starlight kind of theme.
They did have Mallory in the first season, but they had it as a woman. Grace Mallory, they made it.
I can't even remember.
Yeah, I thought so. I remember they referred to that little conversation about the grandkids dying, but it was a woman. And now, I looked it up and they actually switched it, yes. Made it a woman instead.
I can't even remember. I'm going to have to rewatch that again to remind myself of the thingy, right?
What do you think Lamplighter's directly based on? Green Lantern or the original old school Green Lantern?
Oh, Alan Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. But but Lamplighter his power set is very, very different. His power set is completely different, isn't it? Because he controls fire. So who controls fire in DC that I can think of that he would be similar to? I mean, it kind of makes sense that he would be more like Alan Scott kind of thing, because it's the whole point is that he's one of the originals, which is like the JSA as opposed to
and his power comes from that thing.
Yeah,
that little.
yeah, and you know, and but it's fire based, and obviously, like, you know, the writer of this obviously did want a lot of this stuff, you know, kind of coming from those characters. So you know that, yeah, it could be. It'll be interesting how close they get to the bone on that, because they get in the comic books, they don't get that close because it's more like, okay, this is a fire based character. So you know, but yeah, they'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see, man. We've got some other rumors which we'll quickly just go through, which is about Catwoman having a series on HBO Max. That is not confirmed. That is from the usual suspects who put out rumors, and we have no idea whether those rumors are true or not.
Well, Zoe, the actress who plays it, she could be free now because her other show got cancelled, High Fidelity, the remake of the John Cusack movie. So she's free to do another show. So yeah,
it would be interesting there as well if it was like a heist story, I guess, because there's that other program, Money Heist, I think it is, that Spanish one, which is doing very well, and I guess they could.
Have you watched any of that? I'm curious to watch it, but for some reason I just never been interested.
The problem is with these programs, I switch off a little bit in between, and then if it's in a different language, I'm stuffed because I don't know what happened in that story for like that 10-15 minutes where I've just switched off and gone and done something else, you know. So yeah, I usually avoid watching those kind of things unless they're a horror, in which case, you know, I just go and watch the whole thing all the way through. But yeah, that would be interesting, but we'll talk more about that obviously when that something like that is confirmed. So let's go into the questions that we've been asked, man, because we've been asked a few questions from listeners on well, I don't even know if they listen to the cast, to be honest, but because they're all on Facebook, but they're the Facebook questions there basically. So we had a guy called Zane saying, why do you think there's never any news on Man of Steel? Right,
it's not happening.
Because it's not happening.
They don't want to make it.
Why do you think they don't want to make it? Because I'll give my view in a second. But
from there, I'm presuming they just don't think there's enough money in it that the audience is interested in Superman. It's crazy. Just make a good film and people go see it. That's what it always comes down to. Make a good film, promote it well, and people will go see it. But executives, they only view things in like a matrix numbers sort of way. And if the math doesn't add up, they don't see the point.
I think the problem that they have with Superman is, from my point of view, is the difficult second film for Superman, right? Because this happened in the comic. This has happened in the comic books multiple times. So what they originally had is obviously Superman was just kind of like, you know, he wasn't that powerful, right? So he had certain villains that he fought against, and obviously those villains could defeat him, but you know, he had special powers to kind of defeat them. Then obviously when Superman got to the kind of levels there where he's like, you know, uber powerful, right? They're like, okay, how do we deal with this? So we bring in ridiculously powered villains like Darkseid, you know, like Brainiac, you know, like Parasite, who can just pull his powers off and stuff like that. So they're kind of like, okay, let's bring in characters like that. Then what they kind of did when they get to the New 52 kind of level is like, look, Superman's part of the Justice League, right? And it's like he just overpowers everybody in the Justice League. So how do you deal with him? You either have him so that most of the time in the Justice League he's not doing anything, or he's off on a mission and you never see him, right? Or you kind of make it that every single other person in the Justice League has greater powers than Superman. So, for example, Batman has been turned into this superhuman tactician who basically knows and plans everything, and it's like it's become a meme now, right? If Batman had enough prep time, he could do anything. Flash is so fast; he can not only run back in time, but he can become part of the Speed Force. It's like insane power levels.
It's always been my complaint against some of the DC guys. Like, they're iconic, the main sort of, you know, Justice League members, but I've always felt that they're just too powerful. That where do you go with these characters sometimes? Like, that's why I kind of enjoy the Marvel stuff, because you do get a sense that they're more relatable because they're more grounded. Even Thor, they found a way to just make it more grounded.
I think part of that is because of Superman. because you have Superman who's so powerful, he could do everything. I mean, if he's as fast as Flash, he could basically defeat every single character and fly to all of those characters and solve everything within milliseconds, right? So you know, what's the point in Flash being there? Well, Flash is faster, right? Okay, what's the point in Batman being there? Well, he's this tactician who's like got insane ability. What's the point in Wonder Woman being there? Well, she basically fights mythical creatures that Superman can't fight, because, you know, so you have to create other characters who are so like crazy. So that's when you get into the levels of like, you know, White Lantern Hal Jordan and stuff like that, who are just so overpowered. It's insane, because you've got Superman who's overpowered there himself. That's the problem that you have. You either have this character who, this is the one thing that they did in Justice League, which I'm pretty sure we're going to end up seeing when we see the film, which is what the powers that be didn't like, what somebody like Jeff Johns didn't like. That what's going to happen is that you've got somebody who's so powerful, who could kick Steppenwolf's ass by himself, who could destroy the parademons there by himself, like he does in Justice League War, when you see him just annihilating all these parademons and stuff like that. That for most of the film, you have to have him out of it. And that's what they did in Justice League War. For most of the film, you see him at the start, he kicks Parademon's ass, and you see him kicking Batman and Green Lantern's ass, right? And it's like he's so powerful. Then for the rest of the film, he's been taken by Darkseid, and he only appears right at the end, right? And it's like that's basically what is going to end up happening in Justice League. That's the problem with Man of Steel too. You got end up having villains that are so powerful, or you end up making it that he's underpowered. But now you've shown Man of Steel 1 that he's that powerful. He's going to have villains that are even more powerful than that to defeat against.
You bring in Supergirl under the influence of Darkseid.
Then you have to bring in Darkseid, who is like a ridiculously powerful character, and it's kind of like it's like blowing your load.
Too much. It's like Dragon Ball. It's like why I stopped watching Dragon Ball as a kid, because it just got too stupid. Like every fight destroys planets, and it's just like this is just goofy now.
Yeah, that's the thing. You get to that level, if you blow your load on Darkseid in the second movie, what you got after that? You know, you basically got like the most powerful villain turning up, and then that's it. It's kind of like if in Iron Man 2, like Galactus turned up, you know, and then it'd be like, okay, well, what can we do after that? You know, so
with all the shit that Rock's been talking, how are they going to deal with that with Black Adam? Because they're trying to say that this is a guy who could go toe to toe with Superman. So aren't we just going to end up with the same problem there?
Well, that's the thing. I think we're going to get to a situation there with Black Adam, that he's going to create this backstory there for him, and the whole stuff is going to be him doing this heroic backstory, and he's facing like, you know, mythical creatures and stuff like that. They're kind of like all the other kind of stuff that they're doing
in ancient Egypt. That's the first film, but if it goes the way that The Rock probably wants it to go, and this character doesn't turn into a villain like he's supposed to, then where does it?
Well, that's the thing, because that if you think back, okay, what film has The Rock played a top level kind of hero and come back in the second film and done, you know, the same kind of thing, but on on another level, and it's worked? I can't think of one. I'm not including like things like bloody Hobbs and Shaw and, you know, the next Fast and Furious films and stuff like that, because they're ensembles, right? When he's by himself, if you kind of think, okay, what film has he come back in the second one and done a similar thing? There isn't one that I can think of.
Controversial. He's a failure as a movie star. He's the most profitable actor, gets paid the most, but technically he's a failure because his movies aren't good.
His movies are not only not good, but they make like 400-500 mil, and he's like, yeah, we made 400-500 mil, and it's like, dude, you know, that's not that much considering the fact your movies cost 200 mil.
Yeah, Batista deserves way more credibility as an actor. His movies technically are better. Better.
So I think that's the issue that we've got with Superman. It's just the incredible difficulty in actually creating a second movie where you've got to have these super powerful villains. And that's I think they're gonna encounter that problem with Captain Marvel too. I think it's gonna be the same kind of thing, because it's very easy to create that first one where it's like, okay, you've got this super powerful person who's a fish out of water, and it's kind of, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then the second one, it's like, okay, we've seen this character who can't get hurt, who just beats the crap out of people, destroys buildings, who does this. What is the interest in the second film? You know, there isn't that. But, you know, I think in this, they would have to create villains that are so powerful that the budget would be insane. And then once you've got to insane levels of budget, are you going to make that back? And then the answer is probably no, which is why they'd rather concentrate on, you know, restarting stuff like Black Adam and things like that, basically.
And they've always said with Superman that they expected every appearance with him to be $1 billion.
Yeah.
Always him and Batman. Yeah.
So so I hope that answers your question, Zane, about what we're talking about that. So this is probably a question for you. So Aki says, I'm scared that Marvel aren't announcing anything when DC keeps announcing stuff. What do you think is going on? I'm happy that he thinks that we've got inside information here.
It's like
right, with the people.
It's basically like the modest guy that sits back, sips his beer, smokes his cigar, and then, you know, they got the brash, loudmouth guy that's just yabbing. I've done this. I'm gonna do this. I've got all this money. And then the cool guy that sits back. Yeah. You keep talking. It's cool. Oh, cool. I'm not in a rush. I'm gonna take my time. You do what you gotta do. Oh, you got a HBO Max the release of a new movie. Cool. You do what you gotta do. And then once things are truly open, bam, killer blow struck, and Marvel rises again. $1 billion movie.
It's kind of like let me tell you what my feel is. So it's kind of like, you know, when you had Andy Ruiz, right, and you have this guy who's like just this bloated dude who's just been over bloated by this lifestyle that he's been having, right? Yeah. But, you know, has these kind of, you know, great moments and stuff like that, and then he turns up and it's like he knocks out the champion, right? Yeah. So he is basically like, the champion is, you know, the Dark Knight and all that kind of stuff, and then this guy comes and he knocks the champion. It was like, what the hell? What happened there? Suddenly this thing is like come, right? And it's like, wow, this dude is turned up, and look, he's the freaking champion, right? And then what happens, right? Then what happens is the guy who used to be the champion is like, yeah, man, you know what, I screwed up, man. I need to get better in shape. I'm doing a bit more training. I wasn't quite, like, you know, sorted out for that kind of fight and stuff like that. And the guy who is now the champion is just like, he's sitting there, he's going partying, he's just like eating buckets of chicken, he's just like, you know, munching cake. He's gone completely out of shape, and he's just become bloated because he's so like arrogant in the fact he thinks I'm this champion and I could destroy anyone, right? And then what happens is that the champion comes and is like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to give you like this measured performance. It's not going to be as flashy as you were given. I'm not going to be any knockouts or anything like that, but I'm going to go and I'm going to defeat you on points, and you're going to try and get me, and you know, that's basically what's going to happen, and I'm going to win. So this is basically an allegory for DC and Marvel. So you had the Dark Knight, who's Anthony Joshua. Then you had all the Marvel stuff in the middle, which is the Andy Ruiz. And then this little film called The Joker came out, which kind of like blew any kind of awards Marvel will ever get in his life out of the water, right? And it's like, oh dear, what do we have now? Well, we've got Captain Marvel, and we've got
we got Black Widow. We have Guardians 2. We got
Guardians of the Galaxy 3. What about our main characters? Oh, what about our main dudes? Well, we're not bothered about that. I think
it's going to be a slow burn getting back, because there aren't any big Marvel films coming, really. They're just like a modest level, you know, things that make like, I don't know, 500 mil or whatever. Or they would have in the good old days when cinemas were all open. So it's going to be a little slow burn to get things back on track. But yeah, the thing is, we know everything that's coming from Marvel. They already announced it, and it was all about to drop. But then this happened, the world ended, and everything's just had to be pulled back into a holding pattern. So how can they announce stuff when all the stuff they originally announced hasn't actually had a chance to come out yet? So
I'd be interested to know how their bottom line affects them funding these kind of films, because obviously they were at a point where they were making so much money on everything else, on their parks, on their merchandise, on their their Blu-ray sales, all this kind of stuff, that they were then like, okay, here's $4 billion for Lucasfilm, here's this much money for Marvel, let's make this, let's make that, let's chuck this much money at this. And now they're not in that position. I wonder what they think about stuff, because once we joke, obviously, like me and Ed is joking about this kind of stuff, but when I kind of think to myself, okay, you've got the most successful DC film for quite a while has been Joker, right? And you can argue, okay, it's not really DC, but whatever, let's say it's DC. The most successful DC film for quite a long time has been the Joker. A small film, small budget, small plot, etc. Right? So you can then quite easily say, okay, do you know what? We've created this thing that has a small plot, all this kind of stuff. It's not that much of a mission for us to release other films like this and just keep going like that. Marvel have set this precedent where it is like literally you go in, it's an event. I want to see something amazing on the screen. I want to see, Spider-Man jump in, and I want to see this ensemble cast. I want to see this crazy stuff occurring. And you can't create that for less than 150 mil nowadays. So they've set the precedent that they have to spend at least that kind of money for us to enjoy a Marvel film, which is a difficult thing, because if they make something small now, people are going to think, oh, okay, it wasn't the same kind of thing. They have to keep going on that same track.
Yeah. Plus, Marvel, if you take the metaphor that they're kind of like a drug dealer, this whole COVID thing has given the people they usually sell their product to a chance to detox for a long time. Are they going to be hungry to get it back, or are they completely over it now that they've had so long to? I'm talking about the general, not just us guys, the superhero fans, but the general population. They've had a chance to get it completely out of their system. This ongoing TV show, what the Marvel movies have basically been, the most expensive TV show ever, basically.
I think they'll have to.
Yeah. Are they gonna?
I think they'll have to build it up again. Yeah. It's going to be the same kind of thing. It will basically start again smaller, and then they'll build it up and build it up and build it up. Because when you build it up, that big thing is when everybody turns up to it. You know what I mean?
We got Black Widow still. We got Eternals, and then
Doctor Strange,
Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
So those
Doctor Strange.
Strange is still wild. Right? I haven't started filming that. They haven't started filming that yet, have they?
I don't know.
So, and then these all Black Widow's established, but then Eternals is a new thing. Shang-Chi's really out there, completely different. So it could either be a big or just a blip. Like you don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm actually interested what route they go around, but I think they have got an issue with the fact they have to have a certain budget for these kind of things, which is going to affect stuff, especially with this COVID kind of stuff that is going on. Let's go through our last question here, which comes from Ibrahim. He actually emailed this in, which means he is actually a listener of the show, because unlike putting a message on the Facebook page, definitely saying. So he's been talking about basically like Wonder Woman, and how he thought that her big screen debut was a missed opportunity regarding her battle tunic, because he was thinking about the miniskirt design as opposed to a battle tunic, which would be an amalgam of a gladiator's tunic to represent a male gladiator. What is your thoughts about it?
Sex sells.
So yeah,
simple. Sex sells.
You know what? Ed's just said exactly what I was going to say. And I was going to say in a slightly more controversial way that basically every single film that Zack Snyder fans may disagree with this, but every single film that Zack Snyder makes has a certain type of look for people in it, because he knows women, even with the blokes as well, I'd say he has
actually,
this kind of thing that he looks at and it's like, okay, he likes the physical aesthetic. If we see him himself, he trains a lot. You know, he's always he's always showing videos of him working out and stuff like that. He loves that aesthetic. So if you see in 300, it was literally just like hench dudes just going apart. I mean, that film has a massive like middle-aged female following.
Yeah, it worked. He wants superheroes to look like superheroes, to be beyond what normal people look like. And that's
exactly.
I'm into
and that's the same thing with everything. The other thing I think with that design, the reason why he's chosen it, I know exactly why he's chosen that design, and that is because it makes the person look taller.
Yeah.
Right. So the only reason why I know that is because back in the day there used to be this crappy, I'm going to admit something horrendous now, but there used to be a crappy program from a guy in the UK. There's a guy called Gok Wan, right?
Oh,
if you guys
God.
don't know, if you guys don't know, basically he used to do this thing about how you should dress and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things was if you have an outfit that looks like that has that gradation, it makes you look taller because it makes your leg look longer and then your torso look elongated, right? So there is an exact reason. If you elongate that skirt, it makes you look more stumpier. And then they're trying to make this person look like a 6'5" Amazon, right? As opposed to, you know,
practicality doesn't fit with superhero costumes. You don't design a costume to be practical in the real world. Like a battle tunic is practical in a battle scenario on the warfield, but in a movie, it doesn't look as cool. This looks like a long skirt, and that doesn't look sexy. It doesn't have the aesthetic of when she's running around. You know, she's a model. She's got long legs. You don't hide that. Yeah, it's all superficial. That's all it all comes down to. Like the 300, if that was accurate in real life, they would have been in armor because they did have chest plates. But it just wouldn't look. That movie would not have been considered anywhere near as cool and wouldn't have made anywhere near an impact if everyone had covered up.
Yeah, it wouldn't have spawned 100, 300 workout videos on YouTube and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And this is the way we trained and this is what we ate and all. You know, you would never have any of that.
That movie was sold on the 6-pack abs and pecs.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. And Gerard Butler basically got his entire career from that, basically him just being hench in that film. So anyway, guys, that is a point, I guess, to end the show on. We got some interesting stuff that is coming up, which I haven't quite told Eds about there yet. But I've been talking a lot in the trench about how I don't like the fact that a lot of like YouTubers and stuff like that, they kind of ask people for money, right? I hate it, okay, because it's kind of like, I think it's cheap and begging for money. That's not what a man should do. But anyway, at the same time, we have costs, right? We have costs when we're running a show and stuff. So we are designing some like merchandise and stuff, some t-shirts, some cool t-shirts, like villain t-shirts, like stuff like that. We've got some stuff that is coming in the pipeline, which is going to be coming out. So if you guys wanted to support the show by having something cool to wear, then you can do it from that way, as opposed to a scummy way, which I think is kind of, you know, asking you guys for money, which I wouldn't like. So watch out for that. That is going to be coming out soon. Some of the design stuff like that there as well. And yeah, we'll get that to you guys. So if you guys want to say anything about the show, you can email us on dcbsmarvelpod@gmail.com. Also go to the website, which is DCBS Marvel Podcast, and the most active, which is the Facebook page, which is DCBS Marvel Podcast. You can also catch Eds on multiple other shows, right?
Talking at the Movies podcast, original versus remake, all of which are on Vulture Network on YouTube. If you're only listening to this and you can't see us, then if you want to watch the video version of this, let's go there. Vulture on 2 words, like the robots on Network, and you get to watch beautiful, beautiful faces.
Yeah, and giant spiders. You get to see giant spiders.
It's still there.
It's still there, man. I've been keeping an eye on it. But yeah, you get to see giant spiders that you can laugh at. And if you're from Australia and you want to have a laugh, then you can go and see.
Call us pussies. Don't you keep any bug spray as well? Like I have a can almost in every room, and I've gotten immune to the smell of it. I probably have cancer now because of it. Because I just
I've got this thing that I don't like. I don't like killing creatures like that. The only creatures that I would have no problem killing are silverfish. Have you seen the silverfish?
No.
Silverfish is like a little kind of beetle, and they have these little pincers that come off, and they've got like 20, 30 legs on them, right? And when you see it, it is a nasty flipping creature. Now, what they do is they go for warm places, so they actually crawl into like your pillowcases and shit like that. So if you see one, you cannot trap it and get rid of it because it goes through these tiny places. You kind of have to kill it because it lays like shitloads of eggs. And if they start doing that in your house, you're going to shake your pillowcase now when you go to sleep, right? So basically, like, if you see one of those, you need to do it, because if that shit gets in your pillowcase, it'll go in your ears and God knows what. So those things I have no problem killing. If I see a spider, then I'll say, mate, this is my house, you need to get out of it, and I'll get it out. But flipping, you have no problem.
No,
you have
spiders
no
are just a unique. Insects don't bother me at all. Snakes, nothing. Lizards, nothing. Spiders are just this unique type of evil, spawned of the devil. They're put on this earth to torment us. They must all die. It's them or us. It's them or us.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's so small, but if it jumped on me, I'd be like, what the? Yeah. It'd be like crazy. Yeah. So that's the thing. But I could hold a snake if it was here. Easy. I could have no problem holding a snake. So anyway, guys. Yeah. If you want to catch Eds on the other things, talking the music, stuff like that, we will see you again there soon, and hopefully by then the merchandise stuff will be on that. So buy 5 of those, and for all of your family and everything. All right, so get that sorted out. So until then, guys, we'll see you again next time.
See ya.